Good morning from the Luke Howe Homestead. Figured I'd give you guys a little bit of an update today. Went out to the garden and decided I better pick some peppers. Well, that being said, we ended up getting some really nice poblanos. They're actually getting pretty big, thankfully. But this is also first pickings, so hopefully we'll get two, three times as much the rest of this year. But since we actually got a whole lot of peppers here, I think I'm going to take and smoke them and dry them out and cure them hopefully. So we'll end up having things like possibly we'll be able to make some mole during the winter. I've got jalapenos, so we can make chipotle, and I have Anaheim peppers that came out wonderfully as well. And these can be actually smoked and dried out, and they're called Colorado peppers when they're done. That being said, uh, the jalapenos and the poblanos, I gotta thank my mom. She actually had some starters that she didn't have a place for really, so I put them in our garden and they took off. They are probably about 4 feet tall right now, and they're still putting on fruit, which is wonderful, absolutely perfect. Our Anaheims are doing pretty well as well. That was actually a starter that I did, and I'm delighted that they actually came out wonderfully this year. Um, that being said, so I've got all this to do today, and then hopefully, because my wife is at work right now, and thanks, honey, for working on a Saturday. Um, Hopefully, when she gets home, I'm going to be able to help her make some Polish pickles. We actually just use a Mrs. Wage's seasoning packet, make some pickles, and then we take and add extra garlic, dill, stuff like that to it to kind of change the flavor and make it more what we want. Also, I had a watermelon that was starting to go bad, so we took and sliced that up this morning, got it in the dehydrator. It's probably been going since about 4:30 this morning, 5 o'clock, somewhere in there. So it's got some time on it. It's almost 10:30 now. So hopefully another 3 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, will be close enough to dry it out that we're not going to have to worry about it. If they're not, whatever, I can let them run a little longer. But I think I'm going to take all these peppers and process them, slice them up, throw them in the smoker, run the smoker for probably about 3 hours, full tilt boogie, and try and get as much smoke into them as I can, and then take and pull them out, throw them in that dehydrator, or I'll have to throw them in the oven if the dehydrator's full, and just set it as low as it can go. Leave the door open just a little bit, maybe, possibly, just to try and get them to dry out. That way I can kind of store them and they'll be a little bit more shelf stable. That being said, we actually have a ton more pickles to go pick out of the garden by the looks of things. We actually have a ton of squash this year. Note to self, try not to plant squash or pumpkins or anything like that near your other veggies. Try and get a better spot for them. Our garden is probably close to 50 by 50 feet, maybe a little bit larger. We planted zucchinis and squash in one corner, and the opposing corner we planted more pumpkins, and it's kind of starting to take over the garden. We actually have squash that's running up our rows of tomatoes down the centers. We also have pumpkins that are starting to grow into our corn and a few other things. And also, just to top this all off, if we don't have enough to do today, I actually have beans that I picked here last night or a couple nights ago. I had taken pictures and posted them up. They're actually all leftover seed, and what I mean by leftover is either they were leftover from the packet from the initial time that I planted them, or they're saved from a different time when I had them planted. Um, that being said, there's three different breeds there. Can't remember what all of them are right off the top of my head. I know I have red swans, and then there's the purples, which I can't remember what they are. And then, of course, the last ones are they're Blue Lakes. So, Blue Lake bush beans. So, that being said, got a lot to do today. We'll see what we can get done. And of course, little man just woke up from his nap, so he's playing with his piano, and got to make sure that he helps out maybe a little bit. Hopefully, I can keep him away from the peppers. And another note, if you're going to try this, which go ahead, absolutely. I love showing people this so they can go, oh, hey, this is something totally new and different to do. Make sure I brought home one set from work of latex gloves or rubber gloves, nitride gloves, however you want to look at it. A glove to cover your hands so that you don't accidentally, get pepper sauce all over your fingers and go do something and start burning randomly. that is never a good thing. So always kind of keep it safe, just keep an eye out. And in all reality, if anybody has any other kind of, I'd say, food prepping or ways that you do things to kind of help you out through the winter or save things in your house, please post it. Want to see it. I love getting new ideas and hearing different, recipes or processes to do things from other people. It's wonderful. Like learning. This is all new to me this year, so hopefully you can learn a little bit. And speaking of which, new things this year, the hops actually, all of them have bird out, so now they all have cones starting. Right now, all the two that I planted this spring, which were kind of behind and seem to be lagging, which might just be because of what breed they are, I have little puffs on them now that kind of look like the heads of white clover, kind of what they look like. They're not real big. The Neo Mexicanos hops that actually took off and went crazy this spring have pretty decent sized cones coming along. They're probably about the size of a nickel right now, and hopefully by about the time they're done, I'm thinking they should be about the size of a 50-cent piece. So we'll have to see. I'm thinking another month on the Neo Mexicanos hops, maybe a month and a half. And the other hops, hopefully it's going to be the same time, or it's going to end up being about a month later. So hopefully I'll have videos of that and kind of processing and what we have and go through the drying process and everything a little bit. But that being said, hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday. Have a great day. It seems like the weather is going to hold out for a while at least. Please comment, add some additional info if you have any. It's greatly appreciated. But from the Luke Owl Homestead, hope you have a good Saturday.